Hello and welcome everyone to a rare but fun live stream here on the Angel Cake Entertainment YouTube channel. And I am joined by a very prestigious figure in the challenge realm. I'm talking about somebody who has won a trivia challenge game of one of mine, as well as somebody who I think can go toe to toe with me / surpass me in challenge knowledge. And that is the challenge historian himself, Jacob. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Wonderful to be here. I am still looking for. This was one of the number one things on my notes. I'm just going to get it right from the top. I'm Karina. If you're listening, I'm still looking for our champions matchup of the trivia, the tournament of champions Jeopardy style. With I think you've done enough of them that you should bring the champs back. I'm studying away. I'm waiting for the call. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm very much looking forward to chatting some All Stars rivals with you tonight.
I'm excited. Now I feel like the pressure is not only on Karina, but just now me to set everything.
That was backhanded. But I have talked with her many times, and every few months I try to remember to send her a message of once upon a time. She was like, I saw you won one of those. I won one of those, once. I was like, okay, it's on. Let's do it.
All right. Now that I know that there is some heated talk going on, I have to do it. I have to do it. And I'll be honest, it's kind of wild in my brain that when I went to, I'm just going to say, well, like I messaged you. And when I looked at the last couple of messages sent, it said like 112 weeks ago or something to that effect. And I was like,
time goes quick.
What now? That's how
somehow
long
like 5 challenge seasons or something too, because now that we are entering our first ever off season in a while. And
yes,
I tried to as I put it together as the season was coming to close, holy cow, there's been a lot of seasons back to back to back to back to back. Like we haven't not had the challenge on for more than a week or two in at least 2 years, I think, or more maybe. And so time goes quick in this world of reality television that we all love so much.
It is quite interesting because I do feel this connection as you are a challenge content creator. It's like I always knew when Wednesdays were. I knew exactly what day it was, what episode it was, and how quickly 12 weeks to 16 weeks can go in. Just people are like, oh, the season's dragging, but as you keep going, it's like, holy heck, 6 weeks have already passed and we are halfway through this season. It's wild.
It's when you put it into months, like on Battle of the Eras, when it was when you get to episode 14, 15, 16, 17, and you're like, that's 4 months. That's a long time ago. It's one thing to think the weeks, but then I'm always like, this started in January and now it's May or whatever. And it's like, geez, it's really the only show that does that for the most part. I mean, all the other the Survivors of the world and everything else are a little bit shorter. Survivor's always 10, 11 episodes. 2.5 months feels a little more in the realm of possibility to hold people's attention over time. But yeah, we're obviously deep in it, and it goes fast every time. This season definitely went fast. As I went back through some of my episode notes too, I was like, every time I read something from one of my notes, I was like, oh, I thought that happened earlier in the season. That was episode 7. That was episode 9. But it's when it's good, it goes faster. And this season, I think, was quite good. So that definitely aids how quickly it goes.
Yeah, like you said, there is no breaks in between. I mean, I had somebody, a close friend to me who has joined the Patreon, had messaged me and was like, was there even a break in between these seasons? And it was a month. But the month doesn't seem like a break when you're already have announced the next season and then you're just anticipating the next 4 weeks leading into that. So it's we don't even feel a break. So it and having this unknown period of time for the Challenge 41, which we will talk about a little later, it's just what is this? What do I do now? It's what do I do with my hands at this point kind of thing.
And this isn't exact. They used to have a pretty normal, I mean, long ago they had a real legit cadence for 15 seasons. They did 2 seasons a year. They always started in January, ended around this time, and then started again in July and ended around November before the holidays. And I kind of wish I wish they would have just kept that forever. But it does feel weird to have any sort of break. The last break, it wasn't even 4 weeks between eras and this, because with the reunion episodes, there was only
Oh,
one Wednesday where there was
yeah.
no challenge of any kind. There was reunion, one Wednesday off, and then the Monday night episode and Wednesday night episode. So it was only like 10 days between reunion part 2 and launch special, which should just be is episode 1. They should just start calling it episode 1 and releasing it as episode 1. If your
Yeah.
seasons are already going to be 5 months long airing, you might as well, like, you don't need to double up the first week. Call it a real episode. It's the best episode of the season. Put it out. Make sure people actually watch it. One of the many things they've done right while also doing really wrong in recent challenge memory from the production side.
Oh yeah, we'll probably get into all of those. You spoke of a reunion. Do you feel like we're missing something? Not having a reunion for the All-Star seasons. I mean, I know we had the first season, but we haven't had one since. And I think a lot of people were wondering if we were going to have one for this season, but it was a no-go. Do you think we're missing some like key elements or key talking points for not having a reunion or a 3-part reunion for these seasons?
We definitely don't need multi-part reunions, that's for sure. And we
Yeah.
also need less people involved in the reunions. Is another lesson of the past of like there's some amazing reunions in the past, and there's some really like there's iconic moments that come from challenge reunion episodes,
Mhm.
and most of them are ones where it's like we have 6 people here because they were the key players in the 5 things we want to talk about, and we want to give them space and do their thing and whatever. So I would go that route. But I did think, like you kind of allude to, I thought for sure this season going to MTV, the
Mhm.
mix of cast that it was, the kind of the momentum the show kind of had and the franchise kind of had from Battle of the Eras, that Battle of the Eras had a lot of momentum at the beginning, and then it was so long that I think it did peter out a little bit. But then when it was announced it was Rivals next, I felt like it kind of came back. I was certain there was going to be a reunion. I think they probably should have had one. If for no other else than I'm a big Maria Menounos fan and I want to get her as many jobs as she should have. So just get her another gig host in a reunion. She does a fabulous job. But yeah, I thought there would have been one. I wonder what so many of the like backroom discussions are by Buna
Mhm.
Murray and Paramount or whoever now owns Paramount. It's still, up in litigation or whatever, but of like, how much are all the Instagram lives affecting this? Because most of the
Yeah.
conversations we would be looking to have, we are seeing now in this cast in particular, more than any cast ever. I think every cast member by like episode 7 or 8, when there was only like 10 of them left, I think every single one of them was going live on Instagram or X after the episode. And I don't get the screeners. So I watch and then I immediately record right after to try to get the thoughts out right away. And I have this push and pull now of like, I kind of want to watch Frank's live. I kind of want to like hear his response to this thing that happened. So I wonder how much they consider that of like our reunion. Like we're going to ask Frank and Sam, like what that final was like working together. But like they've already spoke for 2 hours on Instagram live about it 5 different times. I wonder how much that plays into their interest level in it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that you bring that up because it is a weekly thing. They're able to say it. Like with the reunion, it's always done like midway through the season or some other point, and then through that time there's more stuff being brought up or they haven't seen the episodes up to that point. And so you do have Instagram lives being a thing. You do have not just the Challenge official podcast now, but you have the Zach Nichols podcast, you have the Challenge Mania podcast, you have people talking for multiple hours on the episode there. So by the time we get to the reunion, it almost feels like one, we've heard
Yeah.
something like this, but then the second one is that it's almost like a shortened version, less. I don't know, because podcasting is such a
It's not
long
as good
form.
as the podcast. It's
Yeah,
like a lot of other thing where podcasting as a medium and long form conversation and less structured conversation has won out over other things. It's both. We've heard it before, like you said, and the first version we heard was also like the better, more interesting version of it than the highly produced on a sound stage with scripted questions and borderline scripted like you get to say your opinion, but also can you like yell at this person so then we can go to this person, like, so yeah, it's just a better version and a more in the moment version. And I wonder though if that means, I don't know, they've never not done a reunion for the flagship, and so I wonder if maybe the next flagship would be the first one that could ever happen to, or the podcasters out there could infringe upon. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to say a quick hello to everybody who is here that I just want to just mention in the chat. We have Lovable Nikki, Demetria, D-Shock, Chris, Danica, Link Competition, Willie, Lloyd, Sandy P, Joanne, Aaron, Rodrigo, Brian. We got a packed crowd here. And I can feel myself now getting a little worried. No, I'm just kidding. No,
yeah, I don't do live ever. I should get that in front. Well, I was actually thinking before we hopped on, I was like, I don't know when the last time I was like actually live, but then I was like, but I don't know the last time I edited or did a second take of anything on my show, but just the knowledge that I could, if I needed to, was always
right.
And has now been removed. So don't hold me accountable for anything that happens right now, because there's a part of me that is terrified.
So I totally understand. I don't do this mainly on my on the main channel. I always do it like live. I do weekly lives on my Patreon, and it's always like a smaller, more intimate crowd that catches it live, and then other people see it later. And it's like, I don't know. It's just nice. It's just kind of chill. And then whenever I do this, I'm like, okay, I've done this every week, but when I do this, it's so intermittent. And then I'm like looking at the number, and I'm like, okay, let's have fun. Let's do this.
Feels a little different, but it feels good too.
Do they no longer sign NDAs? I wonder if doing some of these Instagram lives I feel like they sign stuff that they can't do spoilers, but I don't think it's I don't think it's like, oh, well, you can't say anything about this season. I think they want people to talk about the season. It's more of no saying who wins or who goes home next or anything like that, even though the challenge is the one reality show that is the worst at spoiling.
It's horrendous. It bothers me to no end, and I know a majority of the fan community is all in on it and is honestly more active in reacting to gamers' tweets while the thing's filming than actually when it airs and everything else. I do think there was a big, I don't know when exactly it happened, but there definitely was some sort of switch made or something that seems to have been communicated to the cast at some point in the last handful of years of like, now that there are this many of you doing podcasts and different things, like, you're good. Don't worry about anything. And it's interesting to bring that up with this particular cast, because with the comeback of Frank, this is going to be dating myself a little bit and maybe be too obscure for most people to remember, in all honesty. But when Frank originally left the show, he is one of my favorite, maybe my favorite challenge interview ever, way back for what was then the website Grantland. He did an interview with Juliette Littman where the term spilling the tea wasn't around back then, but that is what he did verbatim in a way where she multiple times during it was like, are you allowed to be like telling me all this stuff that happened? And he was openly like, no, I've already gotten in trouble for it before, and this is definitely going to be the last straw, but I'm not doing the show again, so it's fine. And I like remember that every week when he would go live of like, you're the guy like a decade ago that was confident you were done to the point of like, I don't give a shit about what I'm supposed to say or not say. I'm going to go do this podcast. It's going to be the greatest time, and I'm going to tell these people everything they've always wanted to know that we're not allowed to say, but I'm going to do it because I don't need it. If I get fired, I already quit, So
yeah,
it's fun to bring that back around with Frank all these years later.
I mean, it's not even like, I'll be honest, it's not even like the cast you have to worry about. It's just interacting with any of the social media or going to the trailers and out there, or like, I knew for years my own videos, people would be like, I don't want to leave comments because somebody will come in. And I'm like, that sucks, because I would like there to be this interaction. I was like in there talking with people, and then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, well, somebody went in there and was commenting to every single person. And it's like, what? Have a life, man. Just let people enjoy,
That's the hardest part. I'm very thankful. My audience, small but mighty, is like all on board with the spoiler free, or at least like not. I don't have to do too much content moderation or comment
Mhm.
moderation, but yeah, the people that do that type of commenting, like they're just out there just to spoil it, just to get the comment back of like, hey, F you, like, why'd you do that to me? But you're right. I have muted Challenge 41, especially. I might have muted the most accounts I've ever muted or blocked on X.
Mhm.
It used to be pretty easy of just like once the cast left for filming, mute Pink Rose, mute Gamer,
Yeah.
maybe mute Locky, one or two of the others that are like pretty prolific or that people share a lot, and you'd be good. And this time around, I I I normally am like 100%. Like I don't see any of it. I managed to avoid it. I unfortunately do know a couple, thankfully, just like early elimination type of stuff from 41. But it was harder than ever to avoid just it popping up from some random person or someone retweeting or sharing or talking
Yeah.
about something over there. And yeah, I really do. It was the first moment I was like, I think the audience is more engaged at this point during the leaks and the spoilers than they are during, like, it's the same size audience. It's two different audiences. I don't know if the other
Yeah.
one watches the show, and the ones that watch the show, I don't know how much they're paying attention to the leaks, but it's very activated during filming.
So let's now get into the actual substance of All Stars Rivals. I even came up with a fun little PowerPoint to keep us
Oh
on track and
yeah.
everything. I don't know. I'll be honest. I have 13 slides here, and I don't remember exactly what I put on here. Uh, okay, we're talking about the cast first, of course.
Okay.
So with this cast, I think there was some hesitation. I think that would be an accurate description of saying that there was some hesitation of people looking at this cast and thinking, okay, Mark made this to be We Want OGs. And looking through the cast list, not so many OGs.
Yeah.
You have not to say that there's anything wrong with these players, just saying that they don't come from a real world road rules background. A lot of people were like, what is this? Why are they here? Why is this even an all-star season, especially with it on MTV? But now, having seen the season, what did you feel about this cast, and how do you think they held up trying to keep the All Stars rivals spirit alive?
I think the number one most important thing people had to remember, and it took a second, and when the cast was announced to sink in and like put the pieces together, was this season was filmed starting within weeks of Battle of the Eras wrapping, and Battle of the Eras was a very, very long shoot, like 3 months or so for those that were there until the end. And
Mhm.
so the thing that had to be kept in mind was you had 40 people, including 10 from Era 1, 10 from Era 2, like a lot of old, but 40 cast members that said yes and flew to Vietnam to do Battle of the Eras. And then for them, if any of them were asked, so a few of them are in this cast, but to be asked then to, will you turn back around and come to Vietnam again for another shoot literally immediately? It ruled out a lot of those OG cast members. And,
Yeah.
like they did a great job. Like Era 1 was the most across the board. Like you basically, outside of like the dream wisp of Coral or something, you got like basically like the 10 biggest names you could from Era 1 or whatever, that then essentially are knocked out of the pool that All Stars could have been. So keeping those constraints in mind and kind of viewing this as like, one, I think they saved a couple people. I think Ashley Mitchell was purposely not asked to be on Eras because they were like, we need someone that will get people excited to put on the season that immediately follows Battle of the Eras. That's going to be Ashley as our star. That's going to be Frank as coming back as a star figure. And then a lot of the rest of it, you could kind of view like as alternates almost. Like Fessy and Amber are era, like from Era 4. Like they're new people. They're from Big Brother. They aren't that much younger than a lot of the others, but they're much younger in challenge years. And so, but like they were very, Fessy was an alternate on Battle of the Eras, as were a few people here. So I understood everyone's upset, like being up, anyone that was upset of like, where's the OGs? Why is this Big Brother people? Why is this newer people, newer to the challenge people? Are half of these people maybe don't meet everyone's standard of all star, depending how strict you are and what you consider an all-star and whether it's game related or like just how good of a cast member entertaining they are. So I got it, but I also totally understood from production side of like, here's the actual situation we're dealing with, and thought they did a pretty darn good job of filling it in. It was just always interesting to me that they chose it to be an all-star season versus we're just going to film 41 and like call this 41, and it could have been Rivals 4 and just go that route. So that was kind of the only part that stood out as like interesting, is like, how did you decide it was going to be all stars versus, but all stars just had all this momentum too. So I think they kind of just wanted to like, we get to throw the all stars brand and Rivals, you know, it's after season 40, it's got to be big. So like all stars, Rivals, like there we go. That'll get people excited. Drew, you might be muted, or I can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. I did.
There you go.
Muted. Thank you for letting
I was like,
me
wait
know.
a minute. Is something going wrong on my end, or do I need to step in here and let him know that no one can hear him right now? Okay.
No, I appreciate that. I think I agree with everything you said. Right. My feeling and vibe towards this cast when it was announced was this was their plan all along. Like they were going to give the first maybe 1-2 seasons like, hey, we gave you OGs, we gave you people that Mark wanted to have on here, you know, and this was the plan all along. To why they didn't call it We Want OGs, because it's kind of a goofy title, but it's also the same thing of like why Big Brother 22 was called All Stars 2. And it's like, we could just put anybody under the umbrella of All Stars and it's fine. You know, somebody makes it's kind of like how Champs versus Pros, or Champs versus Stars, I should say. The champions are people who just at least made a final, and it's not just strictly champions type of vibe. So I think that that's the case. And I think the biggest shock to me, because I wasn't surprised about anybody that I saw here. The surprise to me was the move to MTV, because I was like, what does that signal? What does that signal? Like, hey, we're not seeing enough people go over to subscribe to Paramount because of this, and now let's try to see what the numbers look like compared to a season that we just had or previous seasons that just came out, and see where people's interests are, if it's on the MTV cycle or they're worried about how long the difference is between 40 and 41, and maybe we don't want all that like space in between to just fill with as many ridiculousness episodes and catfish episodes as we can, kind of vibe. I don't know. Like I think that's what like piqued my interest the most. Just real quick, looking back over it, I think this cast delivered in some ways. I also feel like the early boots to this season in some areas really hindered the gameplay and a lot of the drama that we could have seen a little bit further. Like the Kellyanne and Sylvia, I think could have been dragged out a little bit more if they would have had a little bit more time in this casting. I think Corey and Big T could have had a little bit more interesting arguments. So I think that for what we got and for how many people had question marks, I think they delivered, but I don't know. There's still a lot of question marks in my mind.
Yeah, two things on that. I do think it's always so important to a season, the boot order. And I like comment week. It's one of the main things I like point out week to week. Once you see the elimination matchup of like, which one, just the TV executives, who would they want to win? Not because I'm very anti, like they don't rig any of this stuff or anything like that, but just like from a, like, did the show, how much value did the show lose this week because this person beat this person in an elimination? And I think Beth and John A going home first was totally fine, respectfully, of those two, both legends of the game. But Kellyanne and Sylvia was the big one. And then Ashley going home right after them. It was like, you know, we got good stuff from pretty much everyone on this season. There was no team that was like, oh, that was like, honestly, Beth and John A, who were fascinating to just witness the one episode as the one team that like real serious life altering, like one of these people is in couples therapy because of the other person's actions, like rivalry shit. But I kind of almost didn't want John A to have to go through that. So I was like, I'm glad this was 3 days and over for you. On the other side though, just quickly to go real in the weeds on the MTV thing. This is not like this is just me reading the tea leaves of it all, but I don't know how much you or or anyone else, I'm a little bit of a nerd about this stuff, but has followed the sale of Paramount that is still pending and everything is out there, and what that means for the future of a lot of entertainment properties under that massive umbrella, including MTV as a station. And I think this move was because when that sale happened, the streaming service is going to be utilized. Paramount Plus, it might be renamed at some point in the future with the new ownership and everything, but it will exist. Some form of it will exist. And so the numbers for it, once the price point was decided, the subscriber numbers and everything else, the financials behind Paramount Plus didn't matter as much. I think this was a move of an MTV specific executive that was like, hey, I'm not sure that MTV or Comedy Central or all of the other iconic brands and channels under this umbrella are going to exist in this new world where we have been bought out from Sherry Redstone and the family that has owned Paramount, Viacom forever, and into this Redbird Capital world that just wants to make Tom Cruise movies and have a streaming service. And so I think this was a MTV exec going to Buna Murray and being like, we want to shift the contract order for this season to MTV. We're going to order it to MTV, not to the streamer, because we want to try to get any ratings we can to show the viability of MTV isn't just ridiculousness anymore. Which they have. It's still a lot of ridiculousness, a lot. But they have expanded to where like they were showing the challenge back to back, and they were showing last week's episode before. So it was like a 3-hour block every Wednesday. And they've added a couple other very similar to Catfish, but at least some sort of different I caught you cheating or ghosting me or something. Like every night of the week, they have a show again that's like a 3 or 4 hour block. They're doing a little bit more non-ridiculousness content. So I kind of viewed it as like MTV execs are getting in there and be like, we need whatever we can bring back here, whatever we could put on here to see if we could find a way for MTV, some version of it, to exist 2 years from now. I think that was maybe what that move was more than anything else.
Okay, so to also get nerdy on this, because I love that you kind of brought this in, because I always go like randomly into like Patreon live streams, just like ramble off on random stuff. So I'm just really happy that you brought it up so I can. So I'm currently in the middle of making 2 very big videos, one of which is a ridiculousness based video, which I am recording like 6-hour blocks of ridiculousness every day. And then another one is Catfish. And so I've been like, I have a spreadsheet of all the stats from every single Catfish episode, and where like I have multiple pie charts. It's my baby that I've been doing for like 3 years now. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's interesting because I'm so much tapped into MTV right now, where I'm like, okay, ridiculousness is all the way up to like 4 p.m. and then they're going to have a movie. And every time I pass it, it's like, oh, they have an Adam Sandler block. They have a Will Ferrell block last week. And then also you're seeing like Big Bang Theory now is having shows and stuff on there as well, but it's also under the block of Paramount. So I feel like they're doing whatever they can. But like you said, at least they have something new. They have the RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. They have Untucked. They have Teen Mom still. And all these other shows that they're trying to have, the Jersey Shore Family Vacation and all this other, like they're trying.
Big anniversary season coming up. I'm so excited. I've been waiting. I've been trying to get back into Jersey Shore and just waiting to binge all of the family. There's like 6 seasons now of like Family Vacation. It's insane.
Don't get me started. I just started watching it for the first time, and I did a commentary on Patreon for the first season, and I'm in the middle of the second season. Like,
okay,
I just got to where Ronnie, where Sammy was just given the note by JWoww and Snooki, and it's wild. It's wild. It's wild stuff. So speaking of the cast, the winners of this season were Steve and Adam. Gosh, why do I always want to say like Frank and Steve? And it's just like that's not the name. It's Steve and Adam, who on the season by far was pretty much the stars of the season, winning 2 daily challenges, 5 eliminations.
Unbelievable.
Ties the record yet again. It's like 2 seasons. It's like twice in like 3 seasons we've seen somebody tie this record. And then in the final, they got a third, second, first, fourth, first, second. I just needed to fill this spot, and I just thought their final
It's a good way
rankings
to do
and
it.
everything. So I know in the like, what do you think about Adam and Steve winning this season? What do you think, like, out of the champions, where do they like stack up in your mind of like domination over a season? And do you think that with the way that the season was constructed, that I don't know, there was a lot of people that were frustrated that this was like male male, women woman, man woman, and most of the pairs were women women teams, and then you had 2 man man teams, and then lo and behold, a man man team wins. Like, where do you think that Adam and Steve stack up in this whole thing and how they won?
I definitely think I am one that does not like the mixed teams. I want it to either be all male, female, or
Mhm.
all females and males, and mix the gameplay the way Rivals 1, 2, and 3 did. I think it is the single thing that holds one of the all-time polarizing seasons, Final Reckoning, back from being truly, truly great, and add some of the other negative elements that make it very polarizing. So I did not love that coming in, and I definitely think it played out in a. They did a pretty good job, like as far as the dailies and the eliminations went, for probably the best they've ever done on the handful of seasons where they've had teams of different mixtures. In like, how should we do? What should the structure of these be? How are we going to design these so that everything's always fair and fun, and you never feel like this side or this side has a super big advantage. But it's one of the hardest like wins to place, as far as like the cast was. There's people complaining like there's younger people here, there's people from different shows or whatever, there's like better competitors for an all-star season
Mm.
potentially. So on one hand, you're like, they want, like, most people kind of looked at this as like a flagship-esque cast with just a few more old people than would be in a flagship cast. So in that, like, they dominated that in one hand. But then on the other, you can go through their elimination wins and be like, you know, they they're not, it's not the, of the people that have won 5 elims in the season, it's not the most stacked, like as far as
Mhm.
looking at every matchup and what they had to play and everything like that. But I lean much more on the side of like, I don't take anything away from them. I think they're one
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the most dominant champions we've seen, because all of the times they ended up in elimination, I think at least 3 of the 5, if not 4 of the 5 times, they got second in the daily challenge
Yeah.
preceding that, where it was like, yes, you would, on one hand, you'd be like, you ended up in elimination. Like, you guys must have not been doing very good in the dailies. It's like, actually, they their average place in daily challenges might have been like 1.5. Like, they won a couple and they got second or maybe third in every other single one. So I think it was one very, very dominant. I really enjoyed them as a team. I thought their dynamic was amazing. I thought they found their stride, as the big comedic performance at the end in the elimination versus Nani and Turbo was like the cherry on top of them figuring out, like, as entertainment together,
Mhm.
how they vibed on off each other in confessionals and everything. So, and I came in being fans of both of them. And I'm weirdly one, I might be the biggest Steve fan in the
Oh,
history of the
yeah.
challenge, which is in like the biggest one. That's like, it's amazing that this guy did one season, not very noteworthy, honestly, his one season of the challenge ever, and is now the most decorated challenge all-star we have outside of John A. Is kind of amazing to me. So I'm mixed feelings for sure, but I lean on the positive side, mostly because I just really like the two of them a lot.
I will always back up, and I've had to learn this over the course of the years, but I will always back up that I will never take away somebody else's win, as I always put the onus on the challenge or the
Mhm.
production team. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people will be like, "Oh, Casey doesn't deserve her win." It's like, she played within the rules. It's the format that she was handed. I mean, there's nothing that she can do unless she was
Yeah.
like, "Look, I came in last place. Tori should get it." Outside of her like intervening, which is not her place. It's like, it's her win. Not everybody will like the rules or something, but it's more on the rules that were in play that were put into effect because of that. So with Adam and Steve, you can't take away anything. I mean, they played the game that was handed to them, and they played it. I mean, they didn't even like skate by or anything. They went into 5 eliminations. The only thing I will say, and I'm tired
And they
of
went
this
into
record.
the first one sick. I had forgotten that until I went back through my notes of like, oh yeah, they were like, they weren't just sick, like they were very, very ill and won one of those eliminations. So yes, continue. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
popped in my brain.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad you interrupted. But the one thing I will say is I'm tired of this record being is it being like capped off. I don't want to see people like stop at 5.
Four or six. Yeah.
I know people would have been really like bored or whatever and hated this gameplay, but I'm like, just keep throwing them in. Throw them in, have it be 8, 9 wins going into the final, have them win every single time, and this record will never be tied ever again. Let's go.
I thought it was going to happen, and it's only because they won a daily challenge. Like they were voted in the first 4 times, and then they finally won a daily challenge to stop it. And then the one after that, Katie and Veronica, their only pseudo ally, which didn't totally make sense. It made sense from a relationship standpoint, but the whole We Suck Alliance being like, We Suck Alliance plus the best team here. That is literally won something every episode, which is the other way to look at this that makes it really stand out as how dominant it was. They won something, either a daily or an elimination, in every single episode except for one. There was only one, episode 9, Davon and Shane won, and then it was the one where they let the star was up for grabs and they let Melissa, Nicole, and Katie and Veronica to screw over Nani and Turbo. So outside of the one time where everyone in the house was like, it has to be these people because they got to get their shot and we're all friends with them, is the only episode they did not win something, which is insane. I don't have to get challenge stats on the line to know that that has never happened before, ever.
Exactly. One thing I do want to mention or ask something, because I thought that this comment from Laura Leese was really interesting. With Ashley and Dario casted as rivals, made me think it would be a while before we get a new X's. Now, I mean, Final Reckoning was also a rivals-based thing, just a longer name, a longer title, but essentially it was Rivals 4, and that had X's like Tori and Derek H. And I just feel like they don't want to go to the X as well, that they would just rather it be umbrellaed under something else. Maybe they feel like they have some X's, but not enough. People wouldn't agree to do an X's season. Like, what is your thought process when it's like, we haven't had an X's in a while, and would we get an X's when we have X's on rivals based seasons like Final Reckoning and now here with All Stars Rivals?
Yeah, that was one of the interesting things about when they casted this and called it Rivals, that we have had. I sometimes refer to Vendettas and Final Reckoning or is like kind of Rivals 4 and 5, but it really was, they named it something different, both because they were doing the little trilogy thing and it was great. Names are fun, but because it was like it's X's and Rivals put together is what Vendettas and Final Reckoning is. A little heavier on the Rivals, but it's both of them. I kind of disagree with you. I think we're going to see X's very soon. If we see like 3, 4, 5 more seasons of the challenge, one of them will be X's, I think, within the next 3 to 4 seasons. It won't be 41. I know the cast. I don't know anything beyond that, but based off the cast, it's not X's. But I think there's both. Mostly off of because I've seen so many different like fantasy casting X's seasons that like remind me of like, oh, there's enough to pick from here of like people who have been on the show recently. And then when you add in the more they have to now these days bring in folks from all over the reality TV landscape, and much more so dating shows more than anything else, is like, it's like you can go to Survivor or Big Brother, or there's like 30 new dating shows every month that if you ever want to try to find younger cast members again, you're pretty much going to those. And I think the best way to bring someone from a show that's new, like to a new audience, that challenge audience, is like, I never watched show X on Netflix or show Y on whatever station or streamer, is to be like, these two were on a dating show and it didn't work out. All right. That's all you need to know. Obviously, the dream casting, I never watched it, but Montoya took took the world by storm. I don't know if you were a part of this, like a month ago on the internet, the Montoya guy from Spanish
Oh,
Telemundo.
yeah.
I don't know the woman's name. I apologize to the woman who was cheating on him repeatedly and he had to watch it on television, but bring them in, like I think it's a way to get an audience interested in new cast members. If you tell them from the beginning, here's the clips of these two hooking up on a dating show, immediately followed by them getting in a big argument. That's the plot line. Here you go. They're new. You'll love them. They're great. And yeah, just the fantasy castings I've seen, I'm like, oh, there is more. And I think a lot of these people would probably say yes. Like there's a couple big ones that's like, would Bananas and Mariah say yes?
No.
And would he milk the shit out of it? Yes, he would. No, she wouldn't, probably. But
I don't
there's
think
enough out there. They could do it.
I feel like it would be a lot of new people, but I also think that we would see this like before it ever, like if there's a rumor about it, we'll see all these like exes, like Horacio and Nerys finally split apart. What's gonna happen? Kind of stuff. Kind of like Cara and Abe on the first on X's one, where they were kind of on again, off again, but they were just like, we'll just go in with it and everything. So I feel like
conspiracy. If Horacio or if Nerys and Horacio ever break up, the immediate conspiracy theory of is it because there's an X's season and they want to win? Oh my gosh, that's gonna be fun. Horrible for them, but
if there is an X's season that and they're paired up together, I'm clipping this and putting it at the beginning of the cast reveal video.
It's not true. They're in love. They still are, I believe.
Let's go into, you mentioned the daily challenges and Steve. So I just wanted to throw this up there, kind of get an overview. First of all, can I just say shout out to Challenge Wiki for the fandom wiki for putting up these photos and like I love this. This was great. It's not just a wall of text. It's nice. It can seem a little cluttered at a certain point, but to me, it's very nice. Especially with like
up in their game.
Rivals with the color coordination of everybody's like jerseys and stuff. It looks really nice. I wanted to ask you about these daily challenges more so than who won. Out of these daily challenges, which one like stood out to you as interesting, the most exciting, or even on the other end, not so exciting? I know we had some ones that looked very similar to a season that we just saw in the same region. But what do you think about these daily challenges overall?
Well, that's another thing of when I like get nerdy about how does the production of these shows actually work. I'm all for them doing things like this was filmed down the street from where Battle of the Airs was, and they're going to reuse props. And because it's just understanding operationally how much easier that is for them and that they don't have to build all this stuff to literally use once. They can at least use it twice. And I thought they did a way better job this season than the bad version of that was the first version. They really did it when they did Ride or Dies, Challenge USA 1, Challenge UK, Challenge Australia, all filmed in the same location to do the World Championships after, where they all did the same daily challenges and the same eliminations. And maybe they would like move one little tiny aspect of it. And that, as someone who thought all those seasons had a lot of promise, it kind of dragged it down by like the third or fourth one that I was watching of like, oh, I don't really want to watch them do this same daily again. So I thought they got improved a lot. And like, how can we reuse this from like a cost and time perspective, but make it different than what they just watched on Battle of the Eras? My favorite one was probably randomly Bubble Bullseye, the one Shane and Devon won to get the star, mainly because that was the one, I think it was like my main number one takeaway from that episode when I recorded my podcast right after it was the daily challenge that made me think of what the kind of pie in the sky idea of All Stars could be, of like, we're going to do a very simplistic, silly challenge that could have been on season 8 of this show, but we have a budget now, so we can like make it look nice. We can like, it's not at a Holiday Inn pool like the gauntlets we're at. It's like, it's that style of challenge. It's that simple, that silly, that straightforward. It's fun, but we got a budget. So it's like, that was always kind of in my mind what All Stars was kind of outside of the cast part of it was kind of supposed to be, of like, we're going to do what we did back then, but now we have a little money to just make it like the best version of that old feeling. And so that one just really struck a chord with me of like, this is fun. It's so easy. It took TJ like 2 sentences to explain it. It doesn't take that long to film it. I'm also, again, kind of on the nerdy side, into daily challenges that don't take long to film, because it means we get so much more time at the house to possibly have something interesting happen and put that on film. So yeah, that one definitely stood out, I think, the most to me. Outside of, I don't know if your audience knows this. Maybe you might not remember this. I am the founder of the Fessy fan club. I am go against the grain here. I am a big fan of Fessy on the challenge only. I don't necessarily condone life actions outside of the challenge always. But so him and Amber winning a couple early, I was like, okay, that's my guy. And I really like Amber too, but those weren't that cool of dailies. The one everyone quit on was, at least
that one's
we didn't even get a full TJ quitter. We got like a half version of TJ quitter. So yeah, I go with episode 9. What about you?
Oh man, I do love Bubble Bullseye. Honestly, that whole episode is great. I love alliteration. So Bubble Bullseye and Pin Pop are like my top 2. Like it was just great. The names and the games were just like really, really good. I'll be honest, the beginning of the season I felt was a little rough. To have that episode 2 be the one where everybody quits was rough. I think if you're production, you're like, this is a nightmare. And this is going to be
people are tuning out. Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, my goodness, if we need to get this right. And I think it finally did get right on the rails when we got closer to the mid-season and Adam and Steve aren't getting thrown in like over and over and over again. But I feel like that's where, even though the drama was heightened a little bit, everybody's chances of winning started to like go down, because now they're getting like saved. They're not going in until the final elimination. So I don't know. I do love Bubble Bullseye, and I also like this. I also like Sunday Fun Day was pretty fun. I love the wedding, the newlywed games. I like the way that they did that.
I'm glad they brought it back in the final, which I'm also totally good with when the finals bring a bunch of elements from dailies and eliminations, which I thought they did a really good job of like partial. There was only the one checkpoint that was straight up an elimination that Steven Adam had done and won, and then they didn't even win that checkpoint, so it was fine. But I like when they bring those in, and that is the best game. That should probably be the answer when you do a Rivals or an X's season. That version of trivia, the like can the partners match the answer? It's never failed. It has always been minimum like an 8 out of 10 on the entertainment scale, often been a 10 out of 10 every single time. They could do that with team. They could do it in pretty much any partner season, honestly, and it would be great.
Oh man, people are really having a strong to your taste of the Fessy fan club.
Yeah.
But you're probably you're okay with this. Like you've seen this before.
He's the best new cast member since Total Madness when he became a new cast member, and people think he sucks. And I always ask the question before you say, not just him, any cast member, if you're either going to say they're amazing or they suck, try to answer first the question, what do you want from a cast member? What are you watching the challenge for? Some people are way more sport heavy. Some people are show heavy. Some people want to see a messy romance or a dramatic backstab or whatever it is. List out what your like qualifications are for like, this is something that if you bring to the table, you're a good cast member. And then go check the tapes. Cause I bet you whatever you put on your list, Fessy has checked off. Fessy has checked all those boxes pretty repeatedly, pretty much every time he's been on a season. I'm not saying you have to like him personally. I'm saying as a cast member, if I'm grading what does this cast member bring to the show, even in a I don't like him, he might be a villain to me role. I think he does a really good job. That's my guy.
All right, you got this. You got to your Fessy piece, and I will let people determine whether that is good enough. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. It's all good. Everybody likes their own.
For my saving grace, I also always like to add on to it my 3 favorite challengers ever to give a proper overview of my taste in challenge. Timmy Baggy, Tyler Duckworth, Paula Walnuts. Those are my top 3. They will never be.
Oh, wow.
They will never be passed. Those are my 3 favorite challengers ever. I have told one of them so far to their face, which was very funny to tell Tyler Duckworth, like, you are my second favorite challenger ever. And he was like, wow, that's a really interesting compliment that you would just say. You could just have said favorite. Like, why didn't you just say favorite? There's only one person. Is that person here? And I was like, no, it's not. Timmy's not here. I'll never meet Timmy. And he's like, okay, well, good enough. Second's pretty good.
I mean, you gotta respect the honesty. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So fun. I just want to throw this out there on Patreon. We do all these rankings throughout the season, and this is
Cool.
where my Patreon ranked. In given a vote, the daily challenges, where 5 stars means that it's like top tier. Would like to see it possibly back on another challenge season, with of course 1 star being the worst, and maybe it was poorly
I think they
executed,
nailed it.
or and then in the middle is how everybody deems about it. So yeah, I wanted to get your thought process on this. What do you think about this analysis by the Patreon?
I honestly, if I know left to right isn't a thing on this, they're tiers, but whenever I look at a tiers thing, I also kind of just can't help myself but like go left to right too, if I were to like put them straight up in numerical. And I don't know that I would disagree with almost any single placement on this, except for I would maybe put Sunday Funday up in the top tier with Bubble Bullseye and Playing Dirty. But
Okay.
like, I legit think I agree with all of this. I'm not remembering Presser Sandwich. I can't remember that one literally at all, but so I maybe would put Pushover up above that, because I think Pushover was fun. It was a good game. The execution wasn't that entertaining or interesting, but it was a good game. I like the swinging off the semi things, mostly because it just looks like so much fun, but it's not always the most interesting to watch.
Real quick before we get into the eliminations, I do want to have to ask. I do want to ask you, because this is like the second season that we've gotten vehicles being thrown into bodies of water. How do you feel about those challenges, and do you agree with TJ that they are the sickest challenges that you will ever see, or the people will do?
I want it, as I literally just said, how like I think the semi stuff, it is just always looks fun to do. I don't know that it's like that cool to like drive the ATV off the cliff knowing you're not even going to fall. Like, they didn't even fall. Like, they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
just held at the same elevation, and like they've jumped on, fallen off high buildings and stuff. So yeah, those are the one moment. I rarely disagree with TJ. I don't, I try not to. And so yeah, I don't usually like those at all. I don't think they're that interesting. I think we've seen it enough times. It's kind of like the throw up montage in a way of like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay, like, is anyone still into watching this for the 17th season in a row that we've like seen this happen? Like, and I think it's a waste of money because it's very expensive to do that stuff. And like, you could take that money and give it to Coral or something, just as an idea, out there. So yeah, not as into those as much.
Okay, good.
But if
Good.
the cast was like, it's actually thrilling, like it's so much fun, and it is similar to the semi stuff that you think looks fun, then I'd be like, okay, well, I'm glad you guys get to have a good time, but I'm not that interested in watching.
That's basically what I said to Corey when he was like, "Oh, I loved it. It was like a dream come true." And I'm like, "I'm glad that you got to do it." It's
Yeah.
kind of like when I don't know, I don't even know how to like compare it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, cool, but I will say I did like that in this season they had an actual puzzle, whereas in the car it just seemed like random luck depending on
Yeah.
whether you did wherever you put it, the lights lit up. Like, I dislike that so much where people are like, "Oh, he's taking so long up there." I'm like, then he got the wrong chord.
Yeah.
That's just really
They're just plugging in chords over and over. It's not the most innovative game ever. It's pretty random.
exactly. Let's move on to the eliminations. So as we mentioned, all of these eliminations, Adam and Steve won the first 4.
Okay.
And then we mix up with Turbo and Nani getting tossed in a couple of times, Ashley and Dario. And then, as you mentioned, episode 9, it was just completely like, we want to go in. We want to go in. This could be the end. When will people learn that it's never the end? And then
Yeah.
we had one more elimination. What do you think about these eliminations? And was there anyone that like really stood out to you that was like, oh, I really enjoyed this one?
The first thing when I relook at this list that stands out is the overwhelming feeling of nerves when they announced scratch off, not
Oh yeah.
because I like Fessy and Amber and they were going against Nani and Turbo, who I also like, but because I immediately thought they were going to have to scratch with their fingernails, which they have made them do a couple times in challenge
Ugh.
history. And it is awful, just so awful. So that they gave them pennies to scratch with, I was at least, that's the first thing that comes to mind on these. But I would say I probably the stack attack one was both really compelling,
Mhm.
and I just think those games are so interesting and fun to do and so difficult to do. And I thought, unless it was really tricky editing, I thought both of those teams like did that pretty darn well, better than I would kind of anticipate anyone to be able to do it. So that one stands out. And really, the over a barrel, probably, I mean, of Adam and Steve's many, many wins here, when they knocked out Devin and Leroy, and then
Yeah.
obviously the last one knocking out Nani and Turbo were the two, I had those three teams, or I guess I didn't have Devin and Leroy as much. I had Adam and Steve and Nani and Turbo pretty much top two in my power rankings from preseason to every week on. And Devin and Leroy were pretty close to the top there. So when those felt like the inflection point, that the Devin and Leroy one felt like the inflection point of like, whichever team wins this is going to probably be at the top of my power rankings, and I'm going to be hard pressed to pick against them losing a future elimination. But I think I like Stack Attack the most, as it was very compelling, a good match, and it was a really cool, interesting game.
I completely agree. I love Stack Attack. I love Pin Pop, as I mentioned. I thought that was like really gripping.
Surprisingly compelling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super compelling given who was in there. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm like on the edge of my seat for Melissa and Nicole versus Katie and Veronica. Like, who would have thought? It was more exciting than Devin and Leroy versus Adam and Steve,
Yeah.
which I do think that was a really good elimination. And like you said, once it almost felt like the game turned, where it was once that elimination happens, you can almost see like, okay, well, yeah, they did win the daily challenge, but you could just tell like, okay, maybe we shouldn't go after them now, or people maybe were a little bit like, well, we'll wait, we'll wait until we can get maybe Amber and Fessel or Turbo and Nani in there to try their hands at Adam and Steve. But I also think that at a certain point, you're kind of just like hedging your bets then, because you're just trading off one really strong team for another, hoping that one it just stays and you maybe hopefully win in the end for it
Yeah.
all. But
I will give the first one, pole position, also
mhm.
it wasn't a great matchup for those two teams, and it was definitely the trickiest editing of
Yes.
they're quite good at trying to trick with the editing, and sometimes they get me, sometimes they don't. But that one wasn't close, and they tricked me. I thought it was close until the moment you realize, oh, it wasn't actually close at all. But that was a good one where they like took the exact same game with the exact same equipment that we had seen Bananas and Theo do, and
Mhm.
made a different version of it, where I was like, okay, I knew you were going to reuse a bunch of stuff. Thank you for like doing a remix, and not just it's the exact same thing that a few of these cast members were literally there to have seen.
Yeah, exactly. So uh, Laura Lees brings up a great
Mm,
point. Downpour could have been really
Ashley.
cool if Ashley didn't royally mess up. What is your take, real quick, on Ashley throwing the goggles and that being an ultimate downfall? I had previously thought that maybe just so happened she tipped her hand and was just like, I kind of want to go home, make sure my boyfriend's not using my credit cards. But
I
I've
forgot about that.
also
Was one of the lines of the season. I forgot about that.
but also it could just have been like, I don't want these goggles, whatever. It was an honest mistake. I couldn't tell you what the difference is, and it doesn't really matter because it ended with them losing. But what is your take on the downpour elimination and everything that happened with it?
I mean, it's hard not to bring reputations into it, and Ashley has
Mm,
quit once or twice before, like actual quit, and has threatened to quit one or two other times outside of the one or two times that she actual quit the show. And she has certainly shown herself comfortable of like, if I'm not interested, I'm no longer interested, and I will bail out of here. And maybe she's got that vet savvy of like, well, I can lose my way out of here. I don't have to quit. That looks worse than I could just lose. But it definitely costs. They might have lost. I think Steve and Adam were figuring out the strategy one way or the other to maybe be marginally better. But it definitely would have been riveting for the fans because it's hard to tell in those like fill up a water thing is the easiest editing they ever have of making it be like, completely fooling us if it's close or not. It could have been much better, and it definitely completely cost them. They had 0% chance the moment she took those goggles off. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Her reputation makes me think it's one of those things like in sports where like, is the player dirty? Well, like it didn't seem like a dirty play, but like, I don't know. They've got like 9 of these in their career. So at some point, if they're continually involved in it, it's like, I don't think she did that on purpose, but also she has quit and threatened to quit a decent amount of times in her career and seems pretty chill with her life outside of the show. So who knows?
Everybody, if you know football, Jacob just called Ashley the Vontez Perfect of the challenge. No,
I
I'm
would
just
not
kidding.
go that far. I
No,
was
I'm just
thinking
kidding.
Draymond Green in my head on the NBA side of like, are you dirty or are you just tenacious? Or it's really hard to tell. You just can't.
Yeah.
You walk that fine line. Really, you're a tightrope walker of that fine line.
Real quick, this is where
No
my
5 stars.
Patreon.
Okay.
No 5 stars. No 5 stars eliminations.
I think that's fair.
But Over the Barrel, one of your favorites, was also one of the highly ranked ones. The one that I was deeply offended by was Pin Pop, was 3-star. Top of the mid pile, but not my thing. But Over a Barrel and Stack Attack up at the top, which you have picked out.
Yeah, I'd put Pin Pop with it. Mostly, it's always fun. With respect to Nicole and Melissa, I anticipated Veronica and Katie being good at that and their communication being good going into it and where they were as teammates and friends and everything else. When you can tell that someone is like, can't believe how well they're doing, which you could tell Melissa could not believe how well her and Nicole were doing during that.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
excitement level of like, holy cow, oh my God, we only got one more. Oh my God, we're winning. Oh my God, we did it. Like, is always really great television. So I would put Pin Pop in the 4-star tier, certainly. But I agree with there was not a 5-star elimination on this season. I don't think so.
I almost wonder if the factor of Adam and Steve being in so many of like half of them, it just felt like a little bit of a one-sided after a certain affair that's like, okay, well, it is what it is.
I actually did think Pilot On was the Sylvia Kellyanne losing to Sick, Adam and Steve. I actually thought that was like it's boring. It's one of those where it's like, it's a cool design as far as like the competition, but it is kind of boring to watch on TV. Them just stand there and collect chain on top of them, but was actually, it had a huge implication for the show. It took away probably what would have been our most dynamic rival pair that was proving very much to be that so far. But also I want to try to reference a time or two again of like how sick those two dudes clearly were, especially Adam, and to pull off an elimination win and then like get over being sick quick enough to rally and then go on to win the season is pretty amazing. Cause we've seen people get sick before and it's a pretty quick process of like, you're sick. Do you want to quit or do you want to get thrown into elimination and just lose and go home that way and maybe get the rest of the house sick? Okay, we'll go that route. So yeah,
it is actually interesting that nothing was like, I mean, they quarantined and they like, but it's interesting in this day and age that they didn't like make them like go stay in a hotel or something for a little bit longer or something. Andrew, the final elimination was so underwhelming. Us Andrews need to stick together, and we agree on that, as well as Ken. I mentioned this in the Patreon live stream that Star Bluff could have been better if it was 3 chests, I believe, because because Star Bluff, you have a 50-50 chance of guessing it correct already. Then you have Adam and Steve kind of goofing around, which is fine. It's their strategy, but the idea is that the thought process in my book is that it was a 50-50 chance, as well as the guessing person always got it correct. So with them having odd number of rounds, just because Adam and Steve got to choose first, there was only 5 rounds and they were able to take away 3 balls to Nani and Turbo's 2. And it just, I don't know. Why not just have another round? Why not have 6? Why not? I don't know. I didn't understand that whole process. And not to say that Nani and Turbo didn't do well, but they were playing behind the 8 ball or the yoga ball. going into it. It just
Yeah.
it was a weird one to end on. In
Yeah,
my opinion.
I would have it would have been totally fine with it if that was early in the season, but as the last elimination of the season and the fact that it was the last elim between the two teams where at that point it was like, so whichever one wins this elimination is heavy favorites to win this final, depending on what the final would be. But it was the two best teams that were pretty far superior to the teams they were going to be going up against in the final. So yeah, pretty underwhelming. I agree with the underwhelming comment. It definitely left something to be desired.
I now desperately need to ask you. We have had 5 All-Star seasons.
Okay, I knew this was coming.
All-Star 6 up in the air ? I didn't have enough room on my slide because All-Stars 1 had such a big poster.
It was a big deal.
I want to ask you. We've been talking about All-Stars 5 the whole night. We don't need it to see the trailer or the poster or anything, but I wanted to ask you, where does All-Stars 5 Rivals rank in the midst of all of these other challenge seasons? Now that we've had 5 and we just don't know what 6 will be, and we'll talk about the 6 coming up with all the tweets and everything.
So the one that is really hard to place that makes this difficult is All-Stars 2. I really enjoyed the season, but the final makes me so mad and how poorly executed and poorly run. And it's one of the 3 or 4 all-time just blunders of like this is why some folks from other shows rightfully can call out like how well-oiled machines other shows are, and that the challenge from time to time is like our machine doesn't work, we pressed the start button and it didn't work. And so that one is like the hardest one to place because I liked the cast on that season. I liked some of the things that happened. I would probably say 3 and 1 are the top 2, and Rivals comes after them, and then 2, and then I'm probably on an island. I wasn't that into 4. I didn't need an entire season of Kara and Laurel, and it's mostly an expectation things. What were my expectations coming into all of these, and then is that met or not? It really colors how you feel about them. In All-Stars 4, because it was Kara coming back and all these people, my expectations were super high. And then I was like, not that into it. And then like the Rachel Kara having to, do the small axe throwing as the elimination, being like, you're kidding me. Like we got Rachel and Kara back and then they went against each other and this is what they're doing. So it might not actually, if I was objectively grading them, be the lowest one, but I just had such high expectations and then was just kind of like, I don't really not into this. But 1 for the nostalgia, it was just really great. But I do think 3, there's some people that would have similar feelings about that they have about Rivals here, where it was like, well, why is Jordan on an All-Star season, and why out of nowhere was Jordan and Nehemiah and Wes and Naya, and it wasn't as youthful as All-Stars 5, but it was the moment where it was like, it's OGs plus 2nd edition OGs and like 3rd edition OGs or whatever. So I would get if some people were like, that's, it's 1 and that's it, because 1 is the only one that really, really lived up to the moniker of We Won OGs plus Jemmy, who is an all-star by all means, but it was the only kind of outlier of like, well, you debuted a while after all these other folks. So I would go 3 and 1 and then 2 in the middle as the conundrum, and then 5 in the middle, and then 2 and 4 as a lot of potential, but some things I just didn't love about the execution.
We are so close. I think I agree with Jorge here. I love 3, not just because Wes won, and I do like Wes. But I think that even with some of the newer players, I mean, at least you could have tied them to like a Real World season. Like Kayla was on it, but she was on Real World. You did get Ronnie, who is an OG. And I just love the house. I love the vibe. I love the intensity of the players. Like Yes was coming in wanting to play and not get pushed around by Wes and some of the other players that were in there. And I liked a lot of the competitions. I really like that season. And then 1 has to be up there because of the OGs, kind of like nostalgia factor, like you were saying. 2 and 5, I feel like could be swapped back and forth given the day. It's just, I think I enjoyed 5. I enjoyed this season for the most part, whereas the final and the missing 4th step really throws a wrench into a lot of the fun. Like I could enjoy that season up until the very end where it's like, what are we doing now? Like,
It's such a
no,
bad
thank you.
taste just at the end of a good
Yeah.
season of
And that
like
final
this.
was really interesting too. I really enjoyed like going off, everybody doing their own thing, coming back to the middle. And it's just like, if that was the finale, that would have been great. Like just Nehemiah and Melinda are the champions. Let's just end it there. It's still daylight. It's like an old school afternoon challenge final. Well, there was 2 days, but it's like
Yeah.
it would have been nice if they would have just ended it there. But then you have the whole that's just the whole thing. And yeah, I think the toxicity of 4 just was it was just too much. It just tainted the whole thing, and then it leaked into all the challenge 40, and it's just like we do not need this. I don't want to watch this. It got to a point where I gritted my teeth every time we had to like sit down and watch it at a certain point, and I don't want that in my challenge.
I was
Honestly.
desperately rooting for Kara or Laurel to go home the whole time, just so that like, and I like usually independently root for both of them to do well on the show. But like, by the 3rd or 4th episode, I was like, please let one of them lose so that other storylines can be present and take over, and that they both made the final and everything else. Yeah, it was just, it weighs it down a little. But again, it was as much expectation versus reality as anything that kind of weighs it down.
And a lot of people, I agree with Mary, who also wasn't a huge fan of the stars, handing out stars at the end of the season and everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like unpack there, but let's not
and
look.
Steve blowing it, and it's why one of the big reasons why I'm so happy that him and Adam won is because again, big Steve guy, randomly and weirdly. It's mostly I should explain Steve. I'm very fortunate. I live in Chicago. Challenge Mania does at least 1, if not 2, or even 3 Challenge Mania events in Chicago every single year. So I get to go to a bunch of those, and they did their first ever when they were going to attempt to do like a stand-up version. They did it in Chicago, and Steve was a surprise guest in a lineup where Paulie was there, and so everyone knew Kara was there but wasn't going to participate, and Susie was there, and everyone knew Sarah was there but wasn't participating. And so the whole time Scott kept saying, and I have a special guest. I have a special guest. And everyone was like, we know Kara and Sarah are backstage. Which one is it? And so then he brought out a special guest, and it was Steve dressed as a homeless person. And he like had a hood up, and he went on stage, and then he like turned around to reveal. And most of the audience didn't know who he was. Like literally was like, is this a cast? Like, what is going on? And then he did a very strange comedy thing that I thought was hilarious. And I just thought the whole bit of like, the guest is Steve, it's not Kara or Sarah, like it was all hilarious. And so from that point on, I was like, this guy, I like get his humor. I get all of his facial expressions this season. I was like, I get what he's doing. He's a little offbeat, and I'm here for it. So he should have won 4. He completely and utterly just choked, as he admitted here, and they showed the flashback of. So I was glad he got the redemption, because it did sting a little. It does sting for a little of like, we had to do the Laurel Kara thing literally every episode till the end, and then one of them won. And so wherever you fall, if you fall on one side, or if you fall on the I wish I didn't have to watch this anymore side, it would have been a little bit of a salve if and neither of them won. Steve won. Like, there we go. That's great. So yeah, go Steve.
So I luckily I got to speak to him for briefly at the end of the season, and it was I felt so bad because all I wanted to ask him about was his competitive eating and like his thing of competitive eating.
I gotta go listen. Did he talk about it? I gotta go listen.
Yeah, he did. He did talk about it. You just drop a little like. I'm just like, oh, you talked about competitive. It's like I didn't care about what I already talked to Adam. So I'm like, I got some of the background stuff. I just want to know your story. But I feel bad because it's like I only got like a couple of minutes with him. But it's like, tell me what you do. And he like went all on about like the Tour de Donut, which is a bike race with donuts. And I was just like fascinated. I was like, I want to just talk to you about this. Like, I don't even want to talk to you about winning the challenge. He's
Did you
great.
see the post within the last day or two from Ace? What Steve
Yes.
did? Yeah, just still has a car from Road Rules, which he was on in like 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. And the car that he won, he still just has laying around, and then put it on a U-Haul and drove it to not to like many hours and like states over to Ace, who needed a car for the day, which is just, yeah, what a guy, what an interesting character.
It's incredible. Like, it is like a very heartwarming story. I do want to like share it real quick if I can do that. And then we'll get into All-Star 6 and everything. But like, yeah, I mean, he still has that is not what I thought it was.
Coral.
All right. Remove that, add to stage. There we go. Yeah. And then you got yeah, he's unpacking,
What's it,
putting
Suzuki or something, right? What kind of
yeah,
car
it's a
is this?
Suzuki, and
Dude.
yeah,
It
this
looks
is
like he's never driven it. It looks in amazing shape. If you
and
told me that was like a 2014 and not a 99 or whatever it is, I'd be like, oh, sure, yeah, great.
yeah, it's incredible. And I mean, yeah, this guy won, but I mean, he's still looking out for people and really it's good guy Steve. You know, he's the most
Yeah,
interesting man on the challenge and just a
yeah, he's
good
the
guy.
challenge's Dos Equis guy.
Yeah, exactly. And giving out cars. It's incredible. Uh we kind of I kind of spoiled it. But very towards the mid to end of the season is when I started like actually I don't know how long he Mark was posting about the challenge All-Stars season 6 kind of stuff, but when I first noticed it, it was mid to late season, and it was like, hey, the hands that are the higher ups are looking at the ratings. Please go watch this. The fate of All Star 6. Hey, I got a cameo from Coral, or I've talked to Coral. Here she is telling you that she'll be on All Star 6, and then as these have said, the power is in your hands, folks. Let the big wigs tell you that they need All Stars 6. So keep on watching it. I found this out recently. So a little birdie told me something happens at the end of the final tonight that is ... And it has nothing to do with the game, which alludes to people thinking that it could be a sneak peek or something that alludes to the Challenge 41 T accounts. Then kind of mention that whether they were trying to help in the cause of bringing in an All-Star 6 or maybe they mistook it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, from this, people would infer that there is something that has to do with the challenge or something that that they need to watch the whole thing to see it. Which at the end of the season, there was nothing. But yeah, he's been going strong, saying that he's been chatting with Evelyn, hoping to link up soon. John Brennan should show up. Mallory even posted a video up on April 22nd talking about how she would love to be on All Stars 6. Remember, not getting green lit yet and being canceled are two entirely different things. And then yesterday, 2 hours passed, or yesterday at some point, I got this one saying, rumor has it that there are 2 OGs that are currently training to be on All-Star 6. If it happens, they'll be posting their training videos soon. So any guesses? I'm not very well adept to social media, but I just grabbed everything that I could. What was your take on seeing this? Yes, he also did Davis. I had Davis in here at one point, but I guess I never put him in the slides or anything. But yes, there was also a Davis post as well. What is your take with where Mark is coming from, and what do you feel? How do you feel about all of this going on?
I think Mark has so I think sometimes
Mm,
fans like don't totally understand, and I think he's purposely a little bit vague about how much
mm.
he is involved in All Stars versus not. He was pretty heavily involved in the initial season. Obviously, the ideation and everything, and is why he got to be an executive producer and has continued to be listed as an executive producer. But
Yeah,
he is not actually, he's the first rung of the casting department, but totally unofficially, as far as like passing along names and like talking to people in his own and like trying to convince people you should do it. It'd be really fun. Like if they call you, like, say yes or consider it or whatever. But he is separate from the actual, like the Buna Murray folks and everything else. I think though that was him having had conversations with them. And again, back to my like whole tea leaves thing before of like possibly was hearing some things about like maybe why this is on MTV and like we need to show strong numbers, not just for this show, but maybe even for the channel or, for, Buna Murray, all of our properties, all the things we produce go to the same couple of channels under the same company or two. And we kind of need to, just have success with our, what is our biggest brand name. And so I think he probably has good insight and good info and is being mostly honest with us about like, hey, like they're monitoring this and this is totally, we're not canceled by any means, but like we are not, it's going to be an ongoing discussion. And the better the ratings are, the more engaged people seem, the more likely we are to get more of this and maybe even push it back towards the original idea. And then the second element of it is I know Mark has real passion for wanting to bring a couple other properties to bear, either completely on his own or in conjunction with Buna Murray, including way back when the Road Rules, when they announced Paramount Plus, originally the first time the streaming service was announced, there was like whatever the day they called it, their kind of unveiling day, where they had a bunch of trailers and they did like the Marvel-esque, like here's the plan on the board, here's all the logos, all the shows we're going to do. And one of them was Real World Homecoming, which happened. The other one was Road Rules. They said and put it on the board. It was public in a presentation that Road Rules was going to happen. And I know Mark is still pushing to this day for either a Buna Murray, MTV, Viacom, whoever like produced Road Rules reunion of some kind or just brand new Road Rules to happen. And if it doesn't ever happen, he is going to just buy a Winnebago and hire a film crew and it'll be like on YouTube someday with him. So I think it was a dual thing of him. Like, I want All Stars to continue, obviously, but he also wanted to prove maybe like how engaged the fan community could be and just wanted to be the ultimate cheerleader and hype man for this product. And, I can't love him more for it. He's the Godfather for a reason. He's it's pretty remarkable for this show and is one of the many, many reasons why this show and it's everything around it has lasted for, when you count the Road Rules and the Real World, like we're talking like 70 seasons of reality television from this group of people in this kind of universe. And the fact that the first ever cast member for Road Rules that was, originally an alternate in Real World, but like Real World 3 or 2 or whatever, the first ever cast member turned out to be like one of the best human beings ever, one of the best reality TV personalities ever, like top tier cast members ever, that for 30 years now is like the best champion of this thing in this world, is pretty astounding and really, really lucky. And so, yeah, I think he was just being Mark Long. He's just hyping it up, trying to get the crowd into it. And I hope it works. I definitely went, I watched the Coral video like 17 times. Like, no joke. I was like, this is amazing. I knew you have talked to Coral before, like actually talked to her, like, would you do it? What do you need? I will pass along your needs, your schedule to them. But to see her in a video reference, like, I don't know. I was like, that's a yes. That's a yes. If they meet my demands, it's a yes. So meet her demands. Do it. The ratings will be 4x what they were for this if Coral is on episode 1. I guarantee it.
I will say that there has been some mixed reviews when seeing how many times he's posting or how many people he's like alluding to. But kind of like you said, I love the enthusiasm. I love that he is very passionate about this. And I mean, it doesn't come from a place of like, I'm greedy and he just wants there to be a product that keeps the fandom and entertained and the journey and legacy alive, and I think that this is what I do love about All Stars is it doesn't just give us an old school like vibe of like the OG seasons, but it gives us an outlet for the players that we would never see ever on a main season because it is 19 freaking episodes and like 6 months out of somebody's life, and not normal people can't do that. So it is nice that if they're not going to bring down the flagship to like 12 to 13 episodes, it's nice that we have that option for people, that we can see like a Yes or a Frank or Katie, like people that are willing to do like the game, but not do it for the amount of time that I'm not going to say unemployed, but like the people that make this challenge season their main source of income outside of
that are reality
influencing and
TV,
other stuff.
professional reality TV cast members. Yeah,
Yeah,
that most of them that are like, I'll do this, I'll do other shows, and I'll be on Instagram and I'll be,
yeah.
I'll do the occasional odd job or franchise something or whatever. But yeah, exactly.
And even people were saying to Mark, and I thought that this was pretty awesome, is that they were like, how are you posting more about the Challenge All Stars than the MTV accounts? Which is like,
Yeah,
that's also a problem, but Mark is the one trying to keep everything alive and people excited. And what was it? I think it was Frank on the Challenge official podcast that was like, yeah, they were like, how'd you get kind of talked into this? And he was like, Mark called me up and was talking to me for a long time and kind of got me hyped about it. And I kind of got excited and I wanted to say yes to it. And it's like, yeah, because Mark's doing
he's the
dirty
cast.
work.
He's the unofficial casting department, and he's doing the greatest work to get to make all this happen. We could never repay him what we owe him for 5 seasons, and if it's only 5 seasons, 5 seasons of All Stars, and maybe more other things in the future. But he's the best.
We're hoping that All-Star 6 happens. I don't think there's 2 other people more inclined to want to see an All-Star season, another All-Star season than us, for various reasons. But I would love to see Coral, Evan, John, Brennan, Mallory, like bring on everybody. Like I'm excited for it. Last thing I do want to bring up, because we are coming up to an 85 minutes, and I said that we would go 90-ish minutes. But I don't have too much to say, and I don't want any spoilers in the chat or anything like that, as we're going to talk very briefly about the Challenge 41. Oh, by the way, there is no cancellation, as Mark said. It's not greenlit, and
they get greenlit one at a time. Is no one said no to anything. And again, for the last time, back to the whole like literally MTV and the streaming in Paramount Plus are both totally in flux as far as will they exist and what version of them and what rebranded version and where will things go, and everything else is in flux right now. So it makes complete sense, barring anything ratings or anything else, that like nothing is right now really renewed with anything with MTV or Paramount Plus outside of like the biggest Paramount Plus products they have, like, they're kind of Showtime shows and stuff like that, maybe. So yeah, makes sense. And I honestly don't know that we will get an answer for a while. I think there's a world where like, they're like, we're not going to show Challenge 41 until the fall. Like we might go like 3-4 months here with no challenge. And like, we don't need to, we film All Stars in 5-6 weeks. So like, we don't have to make a decision on that until the fall, because we're going to put out an 18 episode, 5-month long Challenge 41. And we can have the concept, cast, fly them there, produce, direct, edit. We could have no break from 41 to All Star 6 and shoot All Star 6 while 41 is airing. No problem. So it might be a while till we have a definitive answer on, are we getting another All Stars? And it shouldn't it's not just All Stars, by the way. I think with 41, there's a good chance we have Mark Longs and others posting during that the same message, not to start our 41 discussion on possible downer, but like there's no guarantee that there's at least a % chance that the Challenge 41 is the last challenge season we ever see. I do not think that is likely, but that chance exists, certainly.
Yeah. Just want to throw it out there. I said Evelyn, not Evan. Just throwing that out there. And don't get me started on USA 3.
Although, just don't saying, they are allowed. They would be allowed again.
Don't get me started on USA 3, because I totally believe that that this was the saving grace, and we should have had more of these. But USA 2 was by far one of the best seasons, in my opinion, in a long, long time. And those ratings alone could have helped bridge some gaps. And I think that was a little bit of a botched thing. But like you said, I don't think anything is off the table. It's just there's too many things up in the air at this definite moment. Like you said, I definitely agree that we would have it closer to the fall. There is talks that Challenge 42 could be, there's more talks that possibly Challenge 42 could happen in the fall, but like you said, it's like 3 or 4 months and anything can happen in that. Especially, I think what really kind of scared a lot of people before we get into this was the whole thing with MTV Canada and how that kind of disbanded. They kind of sold off wherever they wanted to different, like, smaller groups. I think the Challenge and MTV went on Munch or something to that effect. And then
Mhm.
there's been articles written out about like how Comedy Central and MTV kind of in this day and age, how can it really fight to survive kind of vibe? And would they sell off their catalogs randomly to other shows rather than have one distinct like Comedy Central and MTV when they could do? So there's a lot of up in the air stuff that we just don't know about at this moment.
Mhm.
But real quick, Challenge 41 cast. What is the vibes? What are the feelings? This is from the Challenge T account. I hope this is all real, all true, because I kind of just took a
This looks
screenshot.
accurate. Yes.
When I first made the cast reveal video, there were still men missing. So here are all the men. This is an update, and I will not look for any more information about this because it has wrapped up filming. If you go searching for something, you will find spoilers. And so no spoilers in here. No need to go look for wherever because I've heard that it's wrapped up and it's not. But what do you think about this cast? We have exactly half vets, half new players, rookies, another season with an influx of half rookies. What do you think they're trying to do this time around that maybe they didn't feel like they accomplished when they did it for season 33 and season 34 and season 37 and season 36 and more times we see them trying to influx even more rookies on what I feel like has been like an avalanche or a never-ending group of rookies just keep on being thrown into the casting pool.
Yes, which I am higher on most of the seasons that have tried this than most, simply because, again, going back to trying to understand production's point of view. They need to do this, but then they've just dropped the ball so bad in, like, regardless of what the response is, if you're going to bring in half rookies, bring some of them back for a
Yeah.
second or third. Like the whole idea and why I like get that we need to do this is like we need new people, we need new characters, new storylines and everything. But when you like we had it, the trilogy followed by War of the Worlds 1 and 2, all the UK people that brought in, they nailed it. They had so many amazing new cast members that did a season or two, and then suddenly, starting with Total Madness, they were just all gone. And some of them had good reason and didn't want to do more, but others were just like not asked again. And it was like, okay, where'd those go? And then they started bringing in these big groups, and
Mhm.
each time it would be like, okay, maybe the reception wasn't great, but like pick the 3 or 4 favorites at least and like
Yeah.
give them a second, a third try, let them try to develop something. And so that is a not just 41 thing. It's like a will we see any of these 16 faces a second, third, fourth time? The one thing I will say, this is all respect to the international attempts that they made. This is all US based shows and US based folks
Mm.
that they're bringing on. So that is very different than like Spies, Lies, and Allies, where it was like from all over the world. And it was like, I don't think that's going to work, that you're going to draw in these audiences from all these other countries. I don't, it just, every time they've tried that, the 3 or 4 times recently, it has failed. So I like that. And I will say I watched Survivor and The Challenge. That's it. The occasional Netflix dating show, usually just the first season of it,
Mhm.
will get me. So I don't know most of these people, but I do know that my initial reaction to the rookie side of things was D, the Survivor 45 winner and one of the highest regarded players of the new era of Survivor 41 on, is a huge, huge get. That she said yes and that they smartly reached out to her is a big deal. She could be an absolute star. So I'm big on that. And while I don't watch Big Brother, I am on X, formerly Twitter, and I follow reality TV stuff. And so I get I basically know what happens on Big Brother because y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy on the social media streets for real. I know everything word by word that is spoken on that show every week. So I know America and Blue are like rivals and like polarizing figures, like you're on one side or the other. And that's good to bring in. Like I said earlier, like we could do an X's because the way to get you to care about a new cast member is if in a succinct 60 seconds, you can say, this is America and Blue. Here's 3 clips from Big Brother 25. You didn't watch it, but just know these two don't like each other. They didn't play with each other before, and they got this little rivalry thing, and we can even make it bigger than it might actually even be. Here you go. You're hooked. So I like that. I don't have anything else to say about the other rookies. The vet side makes me really sad. I don't get it. It's amazing to see Ashley back. It's very amazing to see Rogan. I was really, really a big, like, Rogan was one of those UK cast members that was a really great cast member that provided entertainment. So I'm glad to see him back. The rest of it, I don't need to see Bananas and CT every season. I know there's a strong contingent, maybe even half, maybe even more of Challenge fans and clearly Challenge producers that are like, millennials watch this. It's the only people that watch are people that have been watching forever. They just want to watch these 3 or 4 people over and over. I get it. I am as big a fan as them as ever, as anyone. Obviously, I've been following them since day one. Met them both. Very lovely guys in everything they do with fans and everything. But I don't really need it. I don't need Anissa. Leroy is on his 4th season of his retirement tour, which is great. I love Leroy. I am desperate for him to win. Highest Q score in Challenge history. The best. That's great. But like, it just feels a little stale with a couple pops, like Ashley coming back, Rogan. I'm back in on Turbo. All Stars 5 did completely flip me on Turbo, where I was like, we don't, this ran its course, and now I'm all the way back in. So I'm like, Turbo, great, love it. But I thought like Olivia should be there. Where's the rest of the girls? Why is it not Olivia and Raven and Nerese and Michelle and Mariah? Like, why are all 5 of them not there together as like the new crop of female faces that they put forward? And that, again, I'm higher than most on Battle for a New Champion, but actually thought if you could get over that there wasn't any of the vets we all love there was some good stuff there. And like that group of girls, it was like, okay, I'm getting like some teens of the Challenge vibes of like this new crop of women that are kind of taking over the social, the popular people in the house and everything. And there's some guys that are doing the same thing. So the vets leave a little to be desired in my mind. Michaela, I should have given the shout out to Michaela. Amazing.
Oh yeah.
They needed to bring her back. She crushed USA 2. So 3 or 4 that I was like A+, but a bunch more that I was like, I don't know, it feels a little stale. And on the rookie side, I don't know until I watch, because I don't know enough about any of them, but I'm hopeful that it's at least we're bringing people from the US shows, US folks that maybe the audience has a little connection to, and at least the 2 or 3 that I have some information on, I know are really good casting. So we'll see on that side.
Yeah, I'm pretty much trying not to be one way or the other. Because there's been so many seasons recently where it's like I'm either like really hyped about, like, I don't know, I think I was really hyped about All Stars 4, and then I was low on, or I was cautiously optimistic, teetering on like more excitement for like the Challenge 39, because there wasn't a ton of the tried and true, like you said, Johnny Bananas or CT and everything. And I was like, maybe it's going to be more unpredictable. And it just became predictable. So I almost want to just come at it from a very just like mild standpoint. Let's just play the game. I'm just going to go into it kind of with an open mind. I will say that, oh man, I'm trying to remember how to say her name. I really hate that I did not remember how to say
From
her
which
name.
show?
Canada's Ultimate Challenge. I know
Kella? I've never heard the name, so I can take a stab at it and be wrong.
I
do want to watch that show. I've watched the trailer for that show like 5 times, and when I saw her cast, I went back and watched it again. It was like, yes, I need to find a way to watch the show. It looks pretty great.
Yeah, I looked her up. She does her own. She does a lot she's her own business owner and everything. And then seeing her on that show, you could just feel her like competitive level and how she's like, I love it. I was like,
Heavily featured in that trailer too.
yeah, I was like, I'm so happy she's like, once I was like, okay, I know the Big Brother players. I'm cool with D. I've seen Too Hot to Handle, but her specifically, I was like, I want to see her compete so badly. Like, I was just like very excited because she feels like the full package of exactly who you want to see on this season of the challenge. Like, I'm just very excited. Everybody, I think I'm more distinctly iffy on the men. Like, I love that we're getting somebody from Are You the One season 9. I know Jake from Love Island UK as one of the last seasons of the UK I watched of Love Island, because that's once you're down like a week on that show, you have to make up 50 episodes, and I'm just not going to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to watch 50. I'm not going to binge 50 episodes in one day to try to catch up or anything. But I think there's excitement here, but also I think that there's okay to be like, what are we doing? Like the WWE tryout guy, or Justin from Cheer, you just or Ben from who's a boxer. Like it's relatively okay to be like, I don't know what to expect from half of these people who may or may not be ready to be on the challenge, and they just have a really good agent to bring them on here and try it out, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm gonna
hope
be
for the best, certainly. Hope for
yeah,
the
I'm gonna
best.
open mind. Open mind. I will say that you brought up a really good point about like, we've had so many people. Why not just pick a handful of people, like for just a handful of them to like be as the vet side or the other side? Because we talked about USA 2 and how great that season was. It's like we should have had Chanel or Cassidy brought on the very next season. If I think USA 2 happened before 39, I mean, that should have been an easy, like, hey, if you like Cassidy and if you like Chanel and they had this thing on that season, well, you should see how they interact on season 39 and have that bridge of USA getting 1 million viewers in the ratings and then trying to bridge that gap over. Like, again, I'm not going to try to go into it all, but I really felt like they were hitting their stride with USA 2. USA 1 was good. And then USA 2, I felt like they were really touching on something. And it could have been easy enough to just be like, let's bring them on to season 39 where there's no other vets. And we could have had somebody from USA 2 to be that gap into Battle for a New Champion and just get people interested in even a couple of episodes, even if Cassidy or Chanel or other people that were on that season didn't last very long, and just see what could have been the thing. And it just felt like USA 2 was like, cool, I'm glad you like that. Now move on to something else, and you're never going to see this, like, or we're going to table this for an indefinite period of time. It's like, why? Please don't. Why?
Yeah, and I don't know why this just popped in my head, but the last thing I'll say on it is they did. I have on good authority, and I can even now it's plenty far enough removed that I can even just like straight up say, uh, the one time I have ever gotten like inside info at any point of ever like covering this show on my podcast or anything, I have one single time gotten inside info, and it was about a year before. It was a few months before they decided to do the whole World Championships thing and to have USA and to do all the other shows and everything. But before it was ever going to be Challenge USA, from who some consider the goat of the challenge's mouth, that I got to meet after chasing him down in a kayak once upon a time on the Chicago River. That's a whole nother story. I apologize. Stalking is not cool. Do not do it, anyone. It was only the minor infraction, and Johnny Bananas was cool with it. He was a very lovely gentleman on that particular day for me chasing him down in a kayak. But he told me they were deep in discussions to do, and this was what turned into Challenge USA. They were going to do the Challenge versus Survivor versus Big Brother. That was the original idea of how do we bring the challenge over into the world of CBS? How we know, we need to bring more of these people over to here. Where's the tether that combines these things? That like, again, this was so many years ago now that I feel like comfortable saying this. I used to allude to it, but I could never like say who told me or what exactly it was. But like that was real. And he was obviously is one of the first cast members you talked to in that. And so like that was a real thing that was being discussed. And why they've never done that. And like that is such an obvious season that I think
Mhm.
it should honestly just be like big. If we can get every new cast member from Big Brother and Survivor, those are the two big popular shows that have big new casts every year, twice a year.
Yeah.
Survivor gives us what's 18 times 2 a year, so 36 cast members a year. Like you're telling me you can't find the best 8, the best out of those 36 and invite them every year, that say yes. Same with Big Brother. There's only one a year, but it's a big enough cast to like you could pull the best 4, whatever it is, and do a challenge vet of as old as you want. It can just be CT, Kara, Bananas, and Nisa, whatever you want. Challenge vets versus Survivor versus Big Brother, which USA 2 got closer to as far as how the alliances broke down in the house. It somewhat did turn into Big Brother versus Survivor versus these 6 MTV folks that have come in. But like that's such an obvious season. I think fans really liked the moments we've seen teams take
Mhm.
place in recent seasons. I think that was most people's favorite part of Battle for a New Champion was like when they were teams briefly was like actually kind of interesting of like, oh yeah, remember when they used to do like teams? That was really fun. Like that's actually kind of an interesting idea. So I feel like they should lean like if I had my complete wish for challenge 42, now that 41 is in the canister and filmed and everything, would be invite the Michaelas and the Chanels and the couple people from USA, Survivor, and Big Brother that
Mhm.
so clearly should have been brought over. Bring your Michelle's and my guy Fessy or whoever you want from that's from Big Brother, Survivor that have been on flagship or otherwise, and do a 24 to 30 person cast of like 8 to 10 challenge vets, 8 to 10 Big Brother, 8 to 10 Survivor. It's teams the whole way. It's show versus show versus show. If you want to throw an Amazing Race team in, great, deserved. They always kind of get left out of the conversation. They are part of the kind of like Big Four, Mount Rushmore of this world. But that's what I've been hoping for. And the fact that I knew that like that was originally the idea. And then, USA 1 and 2 have been good, very entertaining. They completely screwed USA 1 up to an epic level that really hurt the challenge as far as the production is considered. And that happened right then before All Stars 2. So that was a really dark moment for like, do you guys know what you're doing making the show? I know it's hard, but like, do you know what you're doing? We've done like 50 of these already. So yeah, that's my biggest hope and dream if they continue is either I would love the X's. We talked about that a couple hours ago now. And I would love like we don't need the WWE guy. I'm sure he's great. Maybe he's the best cast member ever since Fessy, joined. But I would love just Survivor people, Big Brother, Amazing Race. That's it. We pull from them. They're the new Real World and Road Rules. We've got plenty to pick from. Go that route.
I mean, it's to what you were saying. I mean, I've been wanting this for a while now because way late 4 years ago, I made a fantasy cast
Amazing.
of
You were right
Survivor
on
versus the
time. You
Challenge
were having
versus
the conversation with
Big Brother.
yourself right when they were having the conversation at Buna Murray, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying. I was
We should have
trying out
called you.
there. I was throwing these out there, hoping that somebody would check it out and take some of my ideas, maybe put me as a producer or something. Story by, edited by. But yeah, I wanted that. But USA 2 kind of proved that that could happen. Like
And that it
that.
would be good. It would be
Yeah, that system could
compelling
work.
drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, in team seasons, I think I'm desperate for a 3-team season, specifically not a 2, but a 3-team,
Yeah.
because we have had kind of the same 1 or 2 alliance structure story arcs play either the one really dominant or the kind of 2 that it just we've kind of seen the same thing a bunch of times in a row.
Yeah.
And I like the dynamics of the 3 teams and how depending what the rules are that like you can work with or against kind of yourself and everything else. That old school challenge was always the like, are we going to throw it today because we hate half our team and we would want to split the money amongst us, like that dynamic back in it, all of that stuff. So I'm all for it. I'm gonna have to go watch. I know it's 4 years old now, so maybe the cast will be a little different than what you would put out there nowadays. But I'm gonna have to go. I actually do. I think I'm pretty confident I've watched that video before, but I will go watch it again I have
It's
one more
probably
view.
really outdated. 4 years ago, I feel like there's other people
I
that
think
could
I saw
definitely be
Natalie
like,
Anderson there on the thumbnail, so that's one of my big draft picks too. Like, bring her
yeah,
back. I don't know why she hasn't been invited back on any of these shows. Maybe Survivor 50. I think the Survivor 50 cast is like more or less known now. I feel like in the
okay.
last day or two, I've seen some like pretty good lists of like pretty rock solid. So I'm excited to see who's on that. But
Well, I feel like you and I could talk for hours about all different types of random stuff about the challenge, and there's so many things that I really want to get. Like as we were talking, there was like other things that I wanted that popped into my head, and I was like, I want to ask them, but that's completely not in the realm of focus, and also that would just take us on a huge other thing that's probably an hour long, and we're just going to be rambling, and then people will be like, "What are they talking about?" So
just have to edit this into a bunch of different videos.
it would be great to be able to have you on again, maybe some few weeks, few months, depending on schedules and everything. I know that you're very busy, and so I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. I'm sure everybody had a great time as much as I did. I had a fantastic time, and that this was much better than me just being by myself, just rambling nonsense for an hour and 50 minutes. But I have kept you 20 minutes
All
longer
good.
than what I had previously mentioned. So we're going to be taking this last as we're wrapping up. I just want to say thank you again. Please, everybody, go check out the Challenge Historian on Spotify, wherever podcasts are available, as well as his YouTube channel, which I will put on the screen. If you want to shout out some of your videos or some things that you want people to check out or be on the lookout for,
Yeah.
please let everybody know.
Hoping to do some off-season content. I mostly stick to the recaps more or less, but I've done two different versions of a rewatch series before, one of which was I did the first 20 seasons, and there's a panel if you scroll down there somewhere on there, I think. But the first 20 seasons, all like 3 to 4 hour podcasts about each individual seasons, those ones
Okay.
from years ago. By the 20th season, I had to stop after Cutthroat because I was spending upwards of 30 hours a week to make one of these every single
Oh
week. So
my
they're
God.
very in depth, very worth watching. Most of them are, I don't know if they're even video. I can't even remember. Yes, they are. Look at that
Yeah.
long hair. I had really long hair up until very recently. And then I did a second version of this same thing before Battle of the Eras. If you scroll back up, you'll see there's the short version and that franchise recap version where I did a 60-second clip.
Mm.
I only got through 35 seasons in 39 days. I tried to do one a day in the 39 days leading
Oh
up
my
to Battle
gosh.
of the Eras. And I did a 60-second recap of every season. And then what was supposed to be a 5-minute, but turned into like 20 minutes by like season 8 recap of every season. And some of those, the early seasons, there's clips, there's all kinds of good stuff that YouTube won't take down or get copyrighted. By season like 14 or 15, it starts to get a little tougher. There's too many logos in all the clips, things like that. But those are definitely the most popular things that outside of recaps. And then I had a brief interview with TJ that is very odd camera. TJ Lavin, if you aren't, obviously, everyone is obviously a huge fan of the guy. He is the greatest guy in the world. Like, it's
Mhm.
real. I was in Vegas. I reached out to him, DM'd him, and he's such an amazing guy that his immediate response was just, this is where I go to get coffee with a group of guys every morning, literally every morning. Just come have coffee with us. And so I did begrudgingly halfway through. I was like, I was really hoping to like record something. So we went out on a Starbucks patio and half-heartedly recorded something in the middle of it. But then I was like, can we go back and hang out with your friends again? This is like, I can't believe that you were like, yeah, just come hang out with me and my friends. So he's
That's
the best
awesome.
guy. Just want to confirm that. And that's semi-interesting, but really weird camera work that I set up halfway through that interview of just like this sketchy camera to the side. So sorry that you're just kind of staring at TJ's feet the whole time. But yeah, subscribe. There will be the off season. My big goal that maybe I'll have to reach out to you for some input on too. I want to reach out to a few other content creators. I've been promising, I wanted to do during Battle of the Airs, and I just never got around to it. Finally doing a player rankings list that I've never been willing to put in stone. I like to claim that the record books are mine to make. I think it might even say it somewhere up there. But I was going to do by era. I wasn't going to do
Okay.
all time. I'm the era 1 men, era 1 women, so on and so forth. And I've been promising it for a while. And I think that is going to be the big off-season project. If we've got 2 or 3 months here, is within the next 3-4 weeks, you will see top 10 era 1 men, top 10 era 1 women. the big decision is like, is it best player or is it best cast member or is there multiple lists? Probably multiple. It's more fun that way. But yeah, so that's all coming up. That's my extremely long spiel when you asked for a very short one. So
Oh no.
as you can tell, I am solo on all my shows. So I'm used to I just talk and talk and talk, and I forget that I have to stop when I'm with someone else.
No, I wanted you because I mean, this is you taking your time out because before we got on here, you were telling me about all the stuff you're doing very recently and how exhausted you are, and so it's like I held you up basically for 2 hours. I wanted you to say everything that you wanted, and I wanted you to plug away because you make some really great content. You have some really great insight to the challenge. You clearly have a passion for it. Love it. And everybody go check out the TJ interview and please go check out his videos, subscribe. And I think it's two people, great birds. I don't remember how it is, but I have put this link out of trying
Oh
to
my God, I'm going to
do
go
the
fill
top
out. You're going to
50.
get the craziest response from me.
So I've copied the thing. I'm gonna put the link in here. So if anybody hasn't done it, but I've put this together. Actually, Kristen, somebody very in the Patreon and who's in the one of my moderators, put this together for me as I was very busy. But she put together 100 players and you rank them from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And a lot of people have given their responses. I've done one for the my Patreon, one for YouTube. I also have one that I have for Reddit that I have not posted to Reddit because I'm worried about just posting anything to Reddit and just people hating it. But this is very thorough. 100 players. It's hard to like put down from 600 plus players that have ever been featured on the challenge down to 100, and then trying to figure out like I want people to go off a gut. You know, I'm gonna put together some other stat based stuff, but I wanted to get everybody to feel like they're a part of the community, part of having a say, because you have you know this. You have like Entertainment Weekly's 50 top players or
Yeah, they
colliders or
don't.
anything,
They're
and they just
not the level of fans that should. Yeah, they don't.
yeah, and you
They
just
don't know.
they
Respectfully.
kind of just throw it out there and it's just like here's the top 50 according to us, and it's like what about us, you know, what about us as the fan? So I wanted everybody to feel I'm gonna have a YouTube little counter, a bakery counter, and then if I put it on Reddit. But it's funny that you mentioned it and it's like yeah, we could definitely have this discussion since I'm
Well, yeah. If you do a video or break down the results,
yeah.
give me a call because I would love to be a sounding board and like live react to some of the results. I would also be interested. How did you decide on the 100 people to put in? Because that's a difficult decision. Obviously, it's already going to take all of us. It takes a long time to fill out 1 to 10 on 100 people. So I get it's a good thing you didn't put every single person ever. You have to draw a line somewhere, but
Yeah,
it's also kind
so
of hard to draw that line.
well, I'll be honest, it was kind of like it's just a gut run and gun kind of vibe thing because it took Kristen hours to come up with the names. First of all, put together the form, but before that, we had a spreadsheet that we shared, and then it was like, here's some names that because Kristen isn't like the fandom like you and I are,
Yeah.
so it's like sometimes we can overthink it. So it's like kind of like, okay, I'm somewhat of a newer fan. Let's just kind of put names that I can know that should be kind of in the consideration. And then it's like, okay, cut some people that maybe are champions that maybe didn't do as many seasons or something. And then kind of I looked it over. We talked, we had like 56, 58 people together. And then it's like, okay, we need to cut this down because we can't have like 116 people. Like
Yeah.
we can't go 200 people and ask everybody to like, can you actively keep a fresh open mind to everybody as you get down to like the 150th player on the list, and it's kind of bad if CT's at the bottom and or anybody's at the bottom and then
Yeah.
everybody's like fresh-eyed and bushy-tailed up at the top. So we went for the
Yeah.
100 with a mix of mostly
It's so hard.
champions and then people who have done a lot of seasons and have a legacy in some way.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to because I'm thinking back to the big rewatch series I did. I like
mhm.
graded every season, and as part of the grade, I did there was a sport grade, a show grade, and then a male cast and female cast. And it wasn't like a average those and you get the overall grade, but kind of like the actual competition over here. How was that? How was like
Mhm.
the entertainment, the drama, and then how good was the cast? And in the cast part, each one, I would have pillars of how many heavy hitters, basically like Hall of Fame legends, like real A+ people, how many good cast members, and then how many duds. And so for the first 20 seasons, if you were on one of them, I categorized you at one point or another as either a dud, a good cast member, or a heavy hitter. And I'd be interested. And I did it originally I had a spreadsheet that had every cast member ever in a row.
Oh, that's
And I just
awesome.
started at the top and I went down, down, down. And at just gut instinct, as I passed a name, if I thought they were a heavy hitter, I just bold and it just kept going. It was just like super fast. And I never went back and added up like how many people did I put in like the top tier. That I bet it was probably like around 100 or so. That honestly, that would then be my version of, well, it's these people you should vote on. So I'm gonna have to go add that up. One day I will do every cast member ever, literally rank with no
Oh my
groups
gosh.
either. Like no groups, one to whatever it is, like 506. I don't even know how many people
It's
it is.
so many. It's so many,
Not
and then,
counting
like, a
Champs
whole bunch of
Superstars, of
people that have
course.
done, like, 1 season too. It's
Yeah.
like, when I did my, and we're getting a little bit but when I did my worst top like, 10 worst challengers or anything, like, I had to have a criteria of, like, I can't do one and done challengers. You have to have a way of, like, seeing 3 seasons. I felt was, like, a good, like, balance of you got to see enough of them, even if they had a really bad 1 season, then boom, maybe they came back and had a better season the second season or something. So I don't know. It's going to be really difficult to be able to grade that many people. But you know what? I would love to see that. I would love to be have my hand in it as I love doing
I'm
all
trying
of
to
this.
find one final thing that I want to show that's really cool to look at. If I can find where it is, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Maybe um, where I had the list of all of the names, the way I had done it. Oh, here it is. Can I make this like small? Am I able to share my screen on this or no? Is that a thing?
Maybe do you have a
I
present
click
on the
present.
bottom?
Yeah, share screen. Oh boy. Okay, you're gonna see. There's nothing weird on the screen except like
Okay.
5 different challenge things. Don't show those.
I mean, hopefully not.
Which one
What
was
have
it?
you been
Ultimate
looking at during
Sapphire.
our talks? No, just kidding.
No, I just pulled. I couldn't find the right one to open, and that's not the right one to open. Which one did I just find? It this. Okay. Uh, it's kind of interesting to look at. I know you can't like see the names and stuff here,
I
really,
think I have
but
to this.
are you wait?
Is this it?
No. Oh,
Oh.
so I'm only sharing that. How do I like switch tabs and it didn't? Um, I'll stop sharing and then I'll share correctly. I swear this is like worthwhile to actually see.
I
Share
mean, I
again.
love a good spreadsheet.
Um, yes, this one. Okay. So it's cool to look at. It starts with season 1 with the cast, and then every season is across the top, and there's X's if they were on the season. So you can kind of get a visual of like who they invited back and like the kind of eras that like as you scroll down, you kind of witness like, oh, this season had a ton of rookies that were never called back. There's like this big gap here. Or then they started having some people on the show that like suddenly came back over and over and over. And it's just kind of an interesting like visual for season by season how many people got called back a bunch, how many rookies where it's blank. It's like, oh, there was 4 or 5 rookies basically every season that were one and done. And then the real standouts that like, oh, there's bananas every single season ever. This only goes up through whatever season. And it doesn't go far enough to be able to see at the end when it would be like what we were talking about before of like, they get to Spies, Lies, and Allies. And it's like, there's 18 rookies and 2 of them did a second season and
That's
16 people,
incredible.
or whatever. I don't think that might actually been an accurate number right there, but yeah. So I love going back to that visual just to kind of like see the groups as they fall off and see the like Veronicas or Shanes are the fun ones that are like XXX blank X, like, and then they're back way down the line there. So yeah, that's the nerdy stuff I do for literally no purpose other than just remember fond challenge memories because that's what it's all about.
I love that. I do. I have one more thing of business. I don't know if you want to stay for it because
Sure.
it's just a plug for my Patreon. I
Go
don't.
for it.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to throw it out there that please go check out Patreon at patreon.com/angelcakevids. There are 3 tiers: $1, $3, and $5. $5 tier, you get so much content. And right now, a video that is available not just to the $5 tier patrons anymore for a month, but it is a Patreon video that is up for free. If you go check out this post, you can watch this video for free, which is normally reserved for the $5 tier patrons. It is one of multiple of premiere challenge commentary that cannot be on YouTube. I will tell you right now, I have tried to make this video for YouTube years ago, and it was doing so well in the analytics. It was caught very quickly after 22 hours after it was up. I woke up the next morning and I got an email saying that it is no go and it is not good anywhere except for on Patreon, where I have loads of other videos. But right now, this is the only one that is free on Patreon for anybody to watch. But if you want to go check out any of these other premiere content videos, as well as other other interviews or live streams, because if you liked what we did here tonight, I do this weekly on Patreon, and I got some fun stuff going through everywhere. So please come check this out if you are interested. Please check out the Patreon. These are all for the $5 tier patrons, and then the CT doc will be for $3 and $5 tier patrons for the Patreon exclusive portion. But yeah, I'm over there working hard. I will be putting up videos here on YouTube, but I am kind of limited in the availability of what can be shared on YouTube and how much of something. So again, all I'm plugging right now is one, the challenge historian. Please go follow him everywhere, as well as the filling out the top 50 challenger thing, and then here my Patreon, because without them, I would be nothing. So I just want to say thank you so much.
When is the filling out the top 50? How long you waiting for responses on that? I'm already planning when I'm going to sit down with like a nice cup of coffee or something and just really savor over all of these rankings. I'm so excited about it.
It's gonna be like a month. I want to do like a month.
Great.
Give everybody a month. I also want to see how many responses I get for. Also, if you have any questions, please leave a comment for Patreon. But I'm trying to get. I have a number in my mind of what I want, and I'm trying to see if I can get that with just YouTube and my bakery, the Patreon. But if that isn't going to be feasible, I'm trying to see a way of if it is okay to post on Reddit, because I don't see too many people posting links for something like Google Forms. So I don't want to like post it up there and then the mods get mad at me and be like, what the heck are you doing? You're banned for life. And it's like, I know it wouldn't get that far, but it's like, I'm like Bo is afraid. And it's just like anything I do, I'm going to get like thrown into the attic or something. So
yeah.
Love it. But yeah, so I have a month. Everybody has plenty of time. I'm going to be posting it like multiple times on the Patreon and in the YouTube, kind of just saying, hey, if you haven't done this, please do it. And then, everybody will have plenty of time. So don't rush, no rush. Get your mind, have a good night's sleep, have your mind ready to go, and have all your stats and spreadsheets ready. Because I know like you're going to take it very seriously, which I do appreciate, as I think I think most people will take it seriously, but I also know that some people probably will game the system and be like, I don't want this person to be number one.
It's going to be like the karma votes on Battle of the Airs. It's going to be like, I don't like this person, so I'm not going to be objective. I'm giving Johnny Bananas a 1, even if I hate him, that's objectively ridiculous. But so you will have those. I bet you will have some decision to make of like, if you run the data of like, is there a way for me to quickly and easily try to pull out the like, use your own opinions of like, okay, this it's really just like the 2 or 3 big ones. It's like if you gave CT a 1 or you gave Kara a 1 or Bananas 1, like maybe you weren't doing this that seriously, but maybe those should count. Those are people's strong opinions of those people. So maybe they should count. I don't know. You've got a tough challenge ahead of you, but I look forward to watching the recap of all the results, and I look forward to participating and being one of the hopefully many, many people that respond with my own takes.
What I did learn from macroeconomics was a bell curve, and if you have enough people, it'll just even it out. So
It figures
that's
itself
what
out.
I'm hoping.
I don't know. There's a lot more Johnny Bananas haters than CT, as we've seen in a lot of different polls and things about the challenge. But that's fine. He's gonna win. We know who's gonna win, probably.
All right, so we passed the 2-hour mark. We have plugged everything. Again, thank you so much for joining me, as this would have not been as fun if it was just myself. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and chat. I know we kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit, but it was such a great conversation, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and would love to collaborate sometime in the future. No rush. I'm not saying like next week or anything.
I'm available any day and every day. Nothing gets me more fired up than this. And again, I just have to learn how to not fall into my normal, I'm by myself in front of this microphone. There's no one else that is going to talk in monologue. So at all times, you and those commenting always have to throw in, hey, remember, there's someone else. Stop talking. Like you've gone too far. But yeah, this was amazing. I love Talking Challenge. You do amazing work. You're one of, to call back to earlier, you're one of the two OGs and goats of the content creator space. Shout out to Alan, who is the other one in the tier with you, that I put the two of you in the highest esteem. So anytime you need someone to throw some ideas off of or get some takes from, I am ready and eagerly waiting.
All right. And what I learned from today, just to make it full circle, I got to get started working on an all champs challenge contest.
Yeah.
Between
studying again.
Karina, you, and Athanael, who was our other champion. Who could, that's an all-star lineup, which
I haven't trash talked, but I'm willing to. I will, if I need to, and I will probably fall on my face and get third, but that's fine. That's that's what the people want.
Oh man, just going into his Big Brother, like ultra great documentaries, and just being like, "Oh, you talk about Big Brother, I get it now." And just like, no, I'm just kidding. And Thanamel is a great friend of the show. Everybody's such a great friend of the show. But thank you again. This was awesome. I hope everybody has a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Whoever stayed this long, you are
still here right now. You're a real one.
You're a true challenge champion. Tomorrow night, we're doing a game night over on the Patreon, which I'm very looking forward to. And yeah, it'll be great to end off the season. But thank you so much again. Have a great day, and bye, guys.
Later.